Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel here today. Today we're going to be watching an amount of episodes of Delicious in Dungeon, Dungeon Meshy, Dun Meshy, if you're nasty of course. And yeah, we're pretty excited to be here today. Yeah, I don't know how many I'm going to do. It is Saturday, I do have the day off, so I do have the time. I'm also currently downloading all the rest of the episodes up to a certain point, so up to episode 20 I think. So that's happening at the moment, so I need to wait for that to download, which is cool as well. I'm just wondering if maybe it's time for a little bit of a breather with it. I'm got kind of a big week. I'm a little bit tired, but again, we'll see. Again, it's based on what happens in episode 10, I believe we're up to. So we'll see what happens there. If I believe that is not enough, then we'll continue with another episode. That's why I'm downloading all of them right now. Very, very cool. Let's get up those YouTube comments, shall we? From last week, the Patreon exclusive comments. So if you're a patron, you have access to these. A lot of patrons are doing the Dungeon Meshy stuff, so again, it's your prerogative, but you can use that at your leisure. If you want to tell me anything, just say, hey, the series is good. Hey, this is good about it. Spurs on conversation, that kind of thing. It's up to you guys, really. I mean, it's less work for me if you don't do it, so. But it's available for you. That's all I wanted to get across. First comment here from Bamps. The first three actually, let's say that. Senshi is indeed peak manhood. I agree. Especially once he gets the helmet off, he just looks all sexy like. I like that. And apparently I'm missing a lot of Senshi panty shots, which is blowing my mind. You're telling me right now the sexy man panty shots I've been missing? Hey yo. Hey yo. Uh But yeah, moving on swiftly here, we have orcs, which apparently Warhammer 40k has the best implementation of orcs where they are fungus, as opposed to continuing the conversation from, I believe it was episode 4 now, about the orcs. And yeah, I think Dungeon Meshy's version is cool. I don't have any experience with Warhammer. I know my roommate does in the other room over there, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, keeping the orcs in mind, I believe they probably should come back at some point. They were established well enough, I believe, to come back. And then with Namari leaving, I don't see it as a thing where it's not about getting paid because she saw Farlan get chopped. So she probably doesn't think there's a way to get her back as well. We also have a little bit more here about Namari and her choices as well. I believe this. Like, everybody else has hope that she's still alive and doing stuff, which is weird. She did get eaten by a dragon, so it's weird to think that she would still be alive, but I have good reason to believe that she is based on the opening. And I believe, was it Senshi? Senshi talked about the stomachs takes a while to digest, that kind of thing. Or was it Laios? Somebody like that. Somebody mentioned that in the plot, I think, as well. We have good reason to believe she's alive. But Namari, again, saw that she got chomped. Logically, that would dictate that, hey, you know, let's get out of here, cut our losses, that kind of vibe. And then we have the next couple comments from Heath. Good on you for picking up the quotation marked Onesan, right? So the translation here isn't bad, but probably missed some cues on Marsil's relative age to Farlan, which I kind of grabbed on the second run through, where I'm like, oh shit, Marsil's clearly older here, like a fair bit older. But again, elf years, it becomes weird, right? But yeah, she's come from a graduate school. She's clearly, it's almost like post-grad stuff. It's like getting your masters and kind of focusing on classes that you didn't quite get already. That's kind of what Marcel's doing at the moment, and kind of going back and having a look there, which again is, it kind of complements the scene in a lot of ways, right? Because it's literally like somebody who should be further up on the academic ladder, like almost unanimously than Fallen, getting like good information out of her and like learning something that's actually going to change Marcel. So again, it kind of builds off their relationship in the now and why there seems to be that connection there. Yeah, the implication being that Marcel already finished basic magic studies and is just kind of going back through to take on classes that she's missed. Either an older teen or early college adult. I'm seeing early college adult personally, and Farlan is what should be a high school in that scene, I would believe. Was giving me Little Witch Academia vibes, so for sure. But yeah, the translation could probably be better there with getting that across. It's very quick. They don't establish it as well as they probably could. Maybe something in the animation as well that gets that across in a little bit of a better way. Maybe some graduation photos for Marcel, something like that. moving swiftly onwards here, we have the next comment and last comment here today. And this one's about kind of my questions about the merc status of Namari and that kind of thing, and why that affected what she does so much, considering everybody else is essentially a merc as well. Everybody's working for money, but it's just how much you can do that to a degree. Let me go into the comment. Chilchuck's argument is that there's a balance in reputation on how much of a merc you are. If the community thinks that you will do anything for money, more upstanding people won't want to have anything to do with you because you can leave them at any moment, so you're not trustworthy in that regard, and you'll only be looked upon for the more shady types that then could in turn turn on you, right? So think about the stupid old people, the old gnomes from last week, right? Imagine if they were just bad people and didn't revive Namari after she got fucking shot in the head with a assault rifle. Like, that could happen. And the vibe is that Namari really needs the money, so she would be forced into those kind of situations more often. It would be worse for her long term if she was to do something like that. I kind of see that a little bit more now. She's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, Namari. She wants to be loyal and have friends and be devoted to one cause and that kind of stuff, right? But it's pretty clear that she still like needs the money. So she can't go and put it all on the line staying with this crew looking for Farlin when they don't have any money to pay her anymore, right? And then the second paragraph here, this is pure conjecture, but I imagine she did try to stick with Laios. Chilchuck mentioned that she had already discussed money before, so she was already having financial troubles, but was still adventuring with the party. Then they failed with their expedition, in which they lost a lot of their stuff, and on top of it, the next expedition would be to rescue someone, so likely no profit involved. In short, I think this was the last straw for her, and she doesn't want to be the kind of people that only works for money, but still needs some money on some level for something. Probably, again, this isn't the last we're seeing of Namari, obviously. We're probably going to dive into that backstory, maybe through flashback a little bit as well. Maybe why there's no hard feelings for certain characters. Like Laios doesn't seem to be taking it that hard, or Chilchuck neither, but Marcel does. Because again, Marcel has that connection to Farlin, which is her emotional center. But maybe Chilchuck and Laios know a little bit more about Namari's past that are maybe informing this. There's a little bit more depth there than I gave it credit for at the moment. Again, Namari's in the opening. She's pretty clearly going to appear again and do something. And yeah, that's the comments for this week. Thanks for giving me money on Patreon and commenting and stuff. That's pretty cool. Speaking of the Patreon, you can get your episodes a week early if you go to the Patreon and subscribe and do that kind of thing. So there should be another couple episodes up there for you if things go to plan. And yeah, let's do that Patreon shout out at the moment as well. So a big thank you very much to Annie Gregg, Flo Nightingale, Mickey Babbers, Trails Plus Plus, Adley, Bobbin, Chobo Ribby, Domobot, Ed, Fruit, Gloriana Tenebrae, Gus N, Heath, Ika, Yako Yavanen, Jacob R, Joran, Clem, Nosta, Lou, Max, Mish, Nick, Pencil Shop 333, Ron Lad BNK, Sam1373, Skeleton, Victoria S, Without a Net, Zach, Binchy, Hans Peter, Kelvin Cawthorn, Marsh, Aidan O'Brien, and Shawk. So thank you very much to those people for doing the Patreon thing. It helps support the channel and all that kind of jazz. So thank you very much. Predictions, I guess, for what I'm doing, for what we're doing this week in Dungeon Meshi, I guess. I don't really know. What were we doing last week? We're kind of, yeah, we just got saved. There was kind of the Marcel 2-episode thing where she got shot a couple times and needed to be healed. And then, yeah, her arc kind of culminating with us, Undine is ringing a bell. Undine kind of using that in the cooking process and her narrating the cooking, which is very important as well. She's integrated. She's, part of that system now. She's more and more on Senchi's side. There was something said in the public comments as well about kind of the opposite of that as well. Senchi kind of learning that magic isn't all just click and it's done. There is a lot of effort involved there. Seeing the effort in which Marcel put into making the soap, making the magic soap, and kind of understanding magic a little bit more. Obviously, still got his barriers there, but just a little bit of an exchange there between those two characters that seemed at odds very early is satisfying from a character point of view. So yeah, it seems like we're back on our feet. We've got our party all together and approaching level 5 potentially. Level 5, new level maybe, we'll say. Which again, we kind of implied that there's 2 more nights until we see Dragon Guy. There's like 2 camps, and then we're where the dragon was. So we may see the dragon? Question mark. I don't know how the season's going to be structured, but I think seeing the dragon sooner rather than later would be a good move. It's kind of been kind of on the end of that fishing line for a while. We're ready to see it, I think. But again, I've got no clue. Jumping into episode 10 pretty shortly. Yeah. Discord, you can join the Discord and discuss the show, subscribe, like the video, all that kind of stuff that I normally say. So yeah, we'll jump into episode 10 right now. I don't know why that took so long to download, but like 20 minutes later, we're here, finally, with the next episode of Dungeon Meshi, episode 10. Very, very cool. It says 26 minutes, but it's like got the Netflix stuff on the end of it, so it's fine. It's actually a weirder time code, but there's a picture-in-picture version in the description below regardless. So yeah, we're going to give it a 3, 2, 1 and jump right in. Radio, 3, 2, 1, go. Netflix. Now I remember. I guess if it's just all the Netflix stuff again. Very G, Verig. I don't know. But these ones are actually HD again because what I'd been watching, well, it was HD. It was 720p, not 1080p. So yeah, noticeably looks better already. Again, for the intents and purposes of seeing it in the picture-in-picture, probably doesn't matter too much. But for me, it's nicer, and that's the important part. I hope we're actually up to episode 10. That sounds right. How can I check that on the fly? I can check that on the fly like this. By going to YouTube Studio on my phone. Because I don't know why I'm nervous about this, but I am. I'm also recording, which is the other thing I'm always nervous about. Yes, episode 10. Beautiful. We clicked the right button. Believe it or not, I have started watching the wrong episode before. It's a bad look. Somebody said in the public comments as well that after, well, episode 10 and beyond is when a lot of the lore stuff will start clicking into place a lot more too. And I'm excited about that because there's been tidbits up to now, but I'll be able to, think about things in greater detail and connect a few dots, I think. Looking forward to it. Okay, we're still in the water. Very true. Okay, tower. Okay. I don't want to go in the fungus hole. Sugoi indeed. Well, one of the comments just said orcs are like a fungus or something. Ugh. Why was that animated so well? Seems pretty fucking dangerous. They're like mimics. Chilchuck funny. Not really. It's a long way. His sword's shaking. No, Kensuke! I need that guy. Did the frog deserve that? Ambrosia. Yep, but what's your weapon? Yeah. Amazing grip strength. They'll steal your lockpicks or something, Chillchuck. Watch out. Oh, trigger it. Yep. Chillchuck moment. Let's go. Oh, the build up there was great. Quick, do a bit. Also, I don't know how helpful Senchi's axe is going to be regardless. Oh yeah, this is building off the same thing from last time because the tentacles make the hands swollen. I remember. Okay, yep, true. I'm on a level now. Well, that frog looked evil just now. It just ate my boy. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully that didn't get Chillchuck as well. Alright. Safe. Easy. That was pretty creative. So if we wrap all of our bodies in it, will we be able to get through? This is gonna be disgusting. Ugh. It's like science class where you dissect the frogs. And now everyone's narrating it. That's great. I'm not sure if Muscle's gonna like this one very much. Yeah, no. That's interesting. It must mean the orc's skin and that kind of thing is kind of like the frogs. Oh, because it's, yeah, the two at the same time. You two are freaks. I'm not trying any of your shit. Unhinged. You thought that was going to work? Is it going to work? It worked. Oh my god. I'm not sure she believes it anymore. This is foul. Oh no. Just make sure they don't hit your face still, because it's not covered. It is. It's a very cool color scheme. Oh, and they're eating as they're going. Yeah, very, very creative. Have fun. My good friend Ken's game. What? Oh, we're here. Okay. And this is where the orcs were hanging out, huh? This was also seen in the opening. Mm-hmm. Chillchucks is tied up at the top. He looks like a fucking hot dog. That is beyond gross. Farland's gonna see me and be like, what the fuck are you wearing? Alright, what am I looking at? Oh, these guys. In a painting? That's trippy as fuck. Oh, this is how they got back. Interesting that we're chilling with these guys. Sure. The Lord of the Island? You were working for somebody? Huh. Well, it always was, wasn't it? It's true. Interesting. Okay, we hate dwarves too. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, this is what I was more interested about, what you were specifically looking for with the elven writing. I see. Interesting. Huh. We Attack on Titan now? Hey, yo. I see. This is making a few things click in my mind. Sonotori, indeed. Yeah, he was something, alright. We're going alright. We're just fucking mental as. Yes, Namari? Thoughts? Namari? Thanks for the money. I like money. Mm-hmm. Okay. Interesting. A dog yelping outside? Oh my god. Huh. uh, it's hard for me to tell. Yeah. We seemingly call humans tall man. Sure. Okay, cool. So you verified if she's dead or not. Gotcha. But that's also interesting with what we were talking about before, which I'll talk about later. More lions. Lions with wings. How far are we in the episode? Shit. Okay, sure. But it's all rotten. Oh, all monsters came through here as well. Well, that's kind of stuff keeps, sure. Yeah, just steal their stuff. How will they know it's us? What? Fire? Yeah. Mm. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Or not. Yeah, okay, cool. But they defeated the wargs. It could appear at any time. Why not? Head up, champ. Give it the old head up, champ. You're not helping? You could help. Just throw rocks or something. Hobbit strats. Those are a lot of people that we don't have anymore. Think about the names you just said. Mmm. Mmm. Okay. I mean, it's pretty big based on the opening scene of the show. uh, I just wonder where the show goes after we kill the dragon. Because we're talking about it a lot now. It seems like it's going to happen soon. Like literally using this exact same spot. Bakuhatsu? Mm-hmm. Probably not. We need some ringers, my friend. And then you just get it in the neck, and then you won't need to be high. Good point. Seems terrifying. Okay. You're gonna act as bait for the dragon? Something something fallen? I'm literally gonna kill the dragon with my pot. Oh, and his hands are really resistant against fire. Yeah, but keep going with the route you were on before. Why is it here? That's very interesting. Because normally it'd be sleeping. Why is it where it hates? I reckon Farland's involved somehow. It's very important. We can't fight on an empty stomach. We explicitly said this in the first episode, I reckon. Yeah. Look at that. Let's eat, gamers. Are you an alcoholic? It was like a lasso. That's funny. Yeah. Oh, we're literally breading a meat. That's funny. Panko. Great. Something something katsu. Oh, with a red wine sauce? Hey, yo, this sounds good as fuck. Frog katsu. I'm so hungry. Oh my god. I would cry too if I ate this. Yeah, we're gonna eat it, bro. We're eating the fuck out of that dragon. What? What? Why are we getting so emotional? What is this face? Everyone's like halfway through eating. Alright. Thank you, my protagonist friend. Yeah, we're all half mouthful. I reckon the dragon's here, little bro. Dragon's here. Oh shit. Yeah, he's pretty big. It's like Godzilla. Harkening back to some of Studio Trigger's kaiju roots potentially. I'd be Well, I mean, I kind of have to watch another one. I kind of have to. But I wonder if we're gonna win, or we're gonna hold on. We're gonna learn some stuff and still lose. Maybe that could be a direction. Episode was very very interesting. Probably again the one that widens the world the most so far. Especially that conversation with it seemed like the Lord of the Manor or whatever the fuck. Something something island, something something east and west, something something historical conflict with dwarves and elves, owning possession of the dungeon, the spell of immortality. In the same episode, we're bringing up, I guess, the service of resurrection of people. So, like, that wouldn't be needed if people were immortal, obviously. Like, it puts, I guess, mortality in focus in the episode in a cool way. Especially in comparison to Senji's comments around resurrection spells in the past and how it's unnatural. But then what do we make of elves in general who have really long lifespans? Dwarves already have a pretty long lifespan as well. I don't know. Lots to consider. Lots and lots to consider there. The tentacle part was just funny, like the frogs, funny. But stuff at the end was all set up for next episode, which I'm gonna watch thusly, like now. Pretty excited to do so. It seems like we're actually gonna fight the dragon, which I didn't think we were, but sure. And yeah, I'll do that right now. I'll jump straight into episode 11. Very, very cool. Hey, guess what, chat room? I'm a fucking liar. I lied to you. And we're just going to look at episode 10 here today. It has been made known to me that episodes 11 and 12 definitely go together. It will be a two-parter, presumably about the Red Dragon, you would think, based on the setups here. That would make sense with a core structure of anime, episode 12 indicating the end of a core. That would make sense to me. I have time to do 2. I do not have time to do 3 today. So definitely doing 11 and 12 next week as the one part, which is disappointing. But there is stuff to dig into in this episode. So from that perspective, it's not nothing. I really want to watch more. I've said it every week. Like, this is the show I want to watch the most of, like, right now. Again, other stuff on the channel, it's pretty dense. Euphonium and Utena at the moment are like, they're going crazy. And as a result, they get my brain ticking a lot. Not that this show doesn't get my brain ticking, but it's a lot more bingeable, for sure, for sure. So this is a great disappointment to me. That sucks. But again, what can you do? It's the way the show's set up. I've done however many weeks of a few in the row. I've done 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, okay. Maybe it's just timing's right for one episode too. Disappointing though. I really want to watch some. But either way, I kind of said my piece in the ED there. Yeah, it's an episode of kind of 3 halves in a weird way. 3/3, I guess you would say. First third, full on goof fest with the tentacles and the frogs and stuff. Some pretty cool mechanics at play there. Some nice character stuff for Marcel and Chilchuck in the comedy department, which I think they excel in. I wonder if anybody took note of Laios saying Kensuke as well and are going to question that at all. Anyway, maybe they just think he's weird and named his weapon. It wouldn't be the first time that somebody's done that. The second third is like intrigue and other characters away from our main party, and huge backstory set up, blah 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 blah, stuff that will come to fruition later in the narrative. I said it felt a lot like Attack on Titan, and probably the best parts about that show, which is the plot setup-y stuff, right? Like, these people used to think this, and we're after this, and we're pursuing that in that way. And again, that show has its misgivings, in my opinion, but that's the stuff I really like out of it. The intrigue, right? What's going to happen next? The setups, the machinations behind the scenes. And I found that segment really enjoyable. You'll notice I didn't talk a lot during it because I was trying to take in information, which is a good sign. I want to know, and I want to predict. And then that third was kind of set up for this next 2 episode arc. The dragon is here. It did this to these people. It is dangerous. We got to fight it on a full stomach. We got to use all of our knowledge and all of our different talents up to this point, all the different things we've acquired up to this point to make it all happen in our next 2 episodes. Which again, I want to see right now, but I can't. Overall, very enjoyable. An episode that was had a lot of utility. It was very useful, more than anything else. And I think it's an episode the show needed, setting up into what we have. It's just all set up, but good setup nonetheless. So setup-wise, we're on the precipice right now between level 4 and level 5. It's just this one staircase to get to the next stage, but there is something in our way. Oh no. And it's a big fungus hole. The big fungus hole is in our way. It looks terrifying. This is some fucking Last of Us type shit. I don't want anything to do with this. They're braver than me for even stepping foot in it. I'd rather face the sheer drop than anything else. Chilchuck's first instinct is to think that the orcs laid a trap for them by setting all these tentacles here, right? But no, it's less a trap and more protection, right? You're obsessed with, dungeon traps and that kind of thing because that's your like vibe. But no, Laios is thinking about it more practically. This is their home, they just want to protect it. And I love the unsaid implication here that the orcs can simply just walk through these, but humans can't. Speaks to a difference in their skin. Potentially the fur that's on their skin stops the swelling and that kind of thing. So human-esque races can't get through, but orcs can. Makes it a perfect natural protector, kind of again using the environment to their advantage, working as an organism within the dungeon rather than fighting against it, which we see a lot in the theming of the show. And again, speaking to the same, I just wanted to highlight this as well because the animation's really cool. Like, look at that grow there. Fucking awesome. But speaking to the main theme of the show again, is this idea that Laios is cutting through it right now with his sword. He's going bang, 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 bang. Right, cool. Not working, doesn't get us very far at all, right? What works is using the environment and using the advantages in nature to our advantage. Again, very Bear Grylls, up to and including skinning the animal and using it, right? Like these things have used natural evolution and development in this area for a long time to find their niche and survive in this place and thrive and proliferate and all that kind of stuff, right? Why not use their natural advantages? That makes perfect sense, right? It is pretty brutal the way we do it, but again, fits with the theming. You don't fight against it, you become ingratiated into it. That's the theme, right? I like this small piece of characterization here for Chilchuck. He doesn't like the tentacles in the same way that he doesn't like mimics. It's a trap working in tandem with a living thing to basically spoil his plans. Because the mechanical traps, they're easy, right? Like, it's mechanics. I understand that. Everything's going to work logically. The thing that Chilchuck doesn't like is the kind of spontaneity of nature in all of this and kind of impacting him that way. Which again, good characterization. That kind of vibe fits what we've seen from him thus far. Again, here's the shot where we cut to the wide and realize that we've made it. What is this? Fucking dozen steps down. And then this shot here where we pan down and see how far we have to go. Great stuff here. That's very manga panel again, also very Studio Trigger. We notice here that Kensuke starts to shake a little bit as well, indicating that there's some form of danger. It shook before in the presence of tentacles, but it's shaking instead for something else this time. We pan up here to the tentacles and bang, something pops out. It's very pixely at the moment. But hey, that something is a frog. Hello, frogman. And he steals our sword. My good friend Kensuke. Now again, I've noted that he yelled out Kensuke. Is the party going to question that, or just think that Laios is being a weird bloke and just named his sword? I don't know, could be either. I like this as well. So the frogs are almost trained to drop the weapons down, right? Because they've dealt with adventurers trying to get past this trap before. So hey, if they don't have any weapons, then they're useless, then we can pick them off, blah, 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 do whatever else. Just keep living here, basically. They're essentially just built-in protectors for the place. They're not outwardly trying to eat like our adventurers here. They're not predators in that way. They're just protectors. So we see here that, in a very brutal way, fucking Marcel just goes and shoots a fucking fireball at its head and explodes it. But again, this will become relevant later. I think one of the costumes, potentially Chilchuck's, is the one that just gets kind of tied off at the end. Maybe that's the one that didn't have the head. Makes perfect sense, right? Either way, Marcel here loses her staff, whose name is Ambrosia, sure. Two more frogs appear, very, very cool. One of which Senshi dispatches with glee before one more tries to take his axe. And he's fucking very mad about that. He doesn't want the axe to go anywhere. See, I initially dismissed the axe as being not very important, but maybe it is. And we'll tie into that and his ties to this specific axe in flashbacks that are probably forthcoming. Because he definitely is holding on very tight. It's not the look of a man that doesn't care about his weapon. Because I thought the vibe would be he doesn't care about his weapon, he cares about the cooking pot, and that would be a nice little metaphor as well. Not the case. I think he cares about this too, but for different reasons. So then we have Chilchuck's role here. He notices that some tentacles are poking out of the wall. That indicates that a tentacle is grown into the trap, but indicates that a trap is there from that gap, right? So if we can extract said tentacle and then trigger said trap, it would hit the frog that's standing kind of parallel to it, who would just kill him, right? And then we notice a couple of things, right? So I need to get my hand into that tentacle thing, right? And kind of get all the gunk out and then trigger the trap. How am I going to do that? The tentacles swell up my hands. Now, this is a setup from previous episodes as well involving the tentacles. These are the same tentacles, which I guess I didn't kind of register in my head. They're the same ones that made fucking Lyos's face look like a balloon, right? Puff all up, get all swollen. Same with Senchi's hand. So if Chilchuck just goes straight in, same thing will happen. It'll be very dangerous. But then notices these tentacles that are kind of laying on top of the frogs right now, and goes, aha, I've got it. I need to grab some frog skin and get going. This is a great moment too, right? Why are giant frogs safe even when in contact with tentacles? It's building up in the music like it's going to be some kind of grand reveal. This is a kind of dangerous situation and really needs like a musical sting, really needs like a eureka moment from our protagonist to propel it into the future. Even the classic anime trope, the light through the head, he's getting an idea, oh shit. And then, huh? No idea. Maybe it's in their biological makeup. With the cut back to his facial reaction, very, very well done comedic moment. Had me chuckling for sure. Even again, the audio is so good in the show. Even though the little stereotypical awkward twang when like something goes wrong, that combined with the kind of de-resing of the background to, again, delegitimize the situation, make it seem more cartoonish and frivolous at the same time. It's just a great touch. It's almost very Konosuba, right? Like you think that some kind of grand, kind of fantasy-esque mystery is going to be unveiled, and it's just something stupid, and they play a stupid sound effect, and one of the characters has like a really de-resed reaction or something. Very Konosuba. So either way, he does it himself. He grabs the kind of skin there in a very gross way and makes himself some little boxing gloves. Ties them up and goes in himself and puts his hand into that big old tentacle hole, right? Tries to pull it out. The frogs are smart, right? Because they do target the weapons as well. Same idea here. Chilchuck's like right next to me and he's like fucking with me a little bit. Let's try and fuck with him instead. A lot of characterization here given to the frog too. Let's kind of frame by frame this a little bit. Yeah, that frame right there. Like, I'm coming back for you later. That kind of vibe, right? Before turning his attention here, at least a little bit, if ALC wants to behave, towards Chilchuck. Like, you're the problem now. Again, good old Trigger being good at animating type stuff. Expressive. And in a very brutal way, just fucking like eats his fucking head. So maybe they are carnivores. Yeah, kind of evil eyes. Maybe I feel less bad about these frogs getting skinned alive. Well, not alive, but you know what I mean. Chilchuck's right there next to it. He's still grabbing onto the tentacle, kind of pulling it out of the mechanism, triggering the trap, and then the frog gets fucking domed. We pull him out. Good job, Chilchuck. Most importantly, Marcel rushes to the hands. That'll be the most important thing here. They'll start to swell up, need to cast some healing magic, that kind of vibe, but they're unhurt. And that gives Laos an idea, though. If he wrapped his hands in the skin of the frog, and it didn't hurt him, now it's time to make full-on suits. What a really great idea. And the joke here is that we have two insane dungeon meshy-esque schemes going on at the same time, narrated by two different characters, right? So, first we have Senchi. Senchi sees dead dungeon monster and is like, okay, time to cook, because that's what he does. But on the other hand, we have the, what would you call it? Ingenious, frankly strange Laos, who has the idea to make skin suits out of the frogs as well to get through the tentacles. And the whole time we have Marcel and the audience disgusted at what they're doing, but unable to tell either party off because she keeps getting one-upped by either party and their ridiculousness. Specifically, we're saving the narrow sections of the frog later, which we use as the katsu in the final segment of this episode. We're boiling the thicker portion, and then after boiling, mash them and knead them with flour. What do we make? We're making like a gnocchi or something here. What the fuck? Yeah, weird. Okay, sure. Again, Marcel in the middle of it, just like head swinging back and forth. What are either of these fuckers doing? Very, very fun. As always, again, in the grand tradition of this series, if you have something with oil, garlic, peppers, spices, and you just fry it, it's probably going to be pretty good. I'm always going to say it. So yeah, here we have tentacle gnocchi, tentacle pasta, and the frog suit. All three different creations, right? I really wish, and again, this will happen when this show gets a really, really good sub behind it, right? These were translated here, would really add to the experience for me personally. But again, you have to remember primary demo and that kind of thing. I don't know. I'd like to see it one day. A really great Marcel reaction image here. You just posted cringe, my reaction, my face when, and then tells off these two for being, I guess, crimes against nature. I don't know, for all that they do, basically. The slow zoom here is fantastic as both parties here trying to convince her to try their insane scheme. This is really fun too, another great comedic moment. The three of them whispering together before deciding that the best tact to get Marcel to wear it is to say that she'll look cute wearing it. Despite herself, Marcel has to agree that she will look cute wearing it. I think the part that she isn't really accounting for is that the blood is going to congeal to her clothes and cause problems from that perspective. That said, she wasn't wearing the suit anymore, so they must have cut her out of it. And yeah, here we go. So we only ever had 3 frogs. I counted when they died. But this is just a great frame in general. Like that's just good. That's just good gear. I don't know what to tell you. Like I don't know. That's the thumbnail, by the way. It kind of has to be. Fucking video take snapshot. There you go. That's going to be the thumbnail now, so look forward to that. Yeah, specifically shoutouts to a couple details. One, I like the the eyes on the top of their heads. It makes it look like a bear suit or something like that. Something very moe almost, which it very much isn't because it's like a literal frog skin. It's like gross. We have Chilchuck down here looking like a weenie, looking like a hot dog tied off at the end, and then we have Senshi's beard just kind of billowing out of the bottom there because he can't keep the hair contained. Just this I could look at this frame for hours. It's just wonderful. That along with this one as well goes pretty good. And then kind of the reaction from both parties there at the very end, it's like let's just get this over with. Walking through it, it's all very disgusting. But it is beautiful at the same time. We also get this frame, another great one, just kind of de-resing ourselves, showing this really serene moment in the tentacles where we're all eating like frog pasta, walking through the tentacle rainforest. I love this show. It's just so good. You don't get this every day. You just don't. It's just jolly. This is just jolly, good vibes. All the setups here are brilliant. The characters are wonderful. Like, what more do you want, honestly? We get to the very bottom. We find our weapons again. Both of our party members there are very, very happy about that. And then, hey, we're in the castle town. I kind of had a theory that this would be the next layer down, and that theory wasn't wrong. Featured prominently in the opening. And yeah, hey, the orcs are in here, but you wouldn't think that this would be the primary person who is here in the first place. This is still a kingdom that at one point was thriving, and then a mad magician happened upon it, and then dungeon shit started happening. Also seemingly translating it sometimes as lunatic magician, but I prefer mad magician. It's just a little bit catchier, so I'm going to keep doing it. There are signs of panic and fleeing. We originally think that this is the orcs that would have been fleeing this place, considering it was their settlement. But I'm also thinking that the people that once lived here would have also been fleeing from their settlement based on what might have been happening. So maybe a bit of a future indicator there as well. Capping off the skit here, we have the congealed blood part that I was talking about before. Just makes it kind of disgusting, especially for Senshi. Imagine that shit getting on your beard. Gross. I like the part here as well, the more Marcel Farlan stuff. The part that Marcel is most concerned about is how am I supposed to reunite with Farlan now if I look like this and are forced to look like this? It'll look bad for me. I don't know. Call it shit bait, but I'm with it. I think that would be cute. Like, I don't know, why else would you be concerned about your looks when you see somebody, right? We cut straight out of there into another interesting bit of world building, right? So we said immediately that we had like a way back pretty quickly with our magic to get back to the surface, right? And we immediately catch up with the Tansus, your Tansu something. I don't forget your first name, but sure. Where they've done just that. They've used this quick method to come back to the surface, of which Namari is less sure and then kind of just stumbles through, kind of hates the entire process. I mean, they technically are teleporting. That shit would fuck with you. Namari's feeling a little bit unwell. We're going to go put her off to rest. And we have Mr. Tansu here. He's going to report to the Lord of the Island. right? So we get a little bit more of an establishment about where we are right now. Determined look on his face, important meeting, aristocracy, important person, big property, income inequality. I don't know, a lot of things that you could bring up very, very quickly based on the Lord and his house here. Another indicator maybe is this ivory, right? Bit of a poacher vibe too to the bloke. He doesn't look good. I don't think we should trust whatever this guy's trying to do, right? It seems in conflict with the rest of the morals and feelings of the show. Like, hey, if we have Senshi at one point preaching about only using what we have to from the animals and only taking what we have to and using every part and blah, 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 do you think somebody that, like, and again, I'm imagining this is some kind of ivory equivalent, somebody that does that kind of stuff has the same philosophies? No. No, 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 no. Again, doesn't go dungeon diving himself, sends others to do so, is a person of power. We've built up some stuff about a monarchy as well. We've even been critical of monarchies in so much as this kind of theory about whoever blah 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 does the dungeon, whoever defeats the mad magician claims the entire dungeon, right? That kind of vibe. Isn't that the thing back from the orc episode? I'll check it now. Yeah, this stuff. If a body defeats the mad magician, a body gets to rule a castle. Again, interesting phrasing, as I've said before. But yeah, so we're definitely in the show challenging this mindset through Laios, right? So Laios, if he is the one to defeat the mad magician for whatever reason, I don't think he'll be the kind of monarch who will rule over everybody with an iron fist, like the Lord of the Manor is right now, the Lord of the Island. Again, he's out there in the trenches, he's doing his thing, he's learning, he's changing, right? He's doing protagonist shit, where we have this other human male character, the Lord of the Island, who's sitting off, paying off other people to do this stuff for him. It's just an interesting one. I'm keeping it on the back burner, just overall politics and theming of the show. We start off by giving a general status report about the dungeon. There's a lot of outlaws, there's a lot of orcs around as well. Things look bad. Basically, the first 3 levels entirely have been plundered for everything that was good. Remember, we said level 2 used to have gold-adorned castles, and now it doesn't. All the gold got taken. Apparently, this lord guy should consider deploying more troops to deal with the orcs. Again, does not care about the orcs' plight at all, doesn't even care to learn why they're there. They just think, oh, they're doing orc stuff again. There's an implication here that the orcs entered through some old dwarven mines that may have connected to the dungeons, right? Which may talk to the dwarven connection as well, potentially a Senshi connection, but also indicates to me that the orcs weren't the original tenants of that castle. They maybe found it abandoned and just kind of moved into it, kind of like a hermit crab, that kind of vibe. And then we bring up this, a very classical dwarf versus elf type conflict that divided this island, which I think is the important island for the intents and purposes of this story. So dwarves one part, doing tunnels and shit, right? Elves other half, and the fucking town. They owned all the fucking civilization of the place, right? Also, like these art style differences. Again, talking to these 2 fantasy races and their stereotypes. Very sharp, official, tall character designs for the elves. Stumpy, gruff, manly dwarves. So there was a war between the dwarves and the elves, which again talks to maybe some of the stuff that's kind of the baggage between Senshi and Marcel, maybe as well. Just kind of implied baggage, like conflict between elves and dwarves. They say the dwarves hid in these lands and waited for the arrival of the elves. Even after the war, they continued to dig tunnels, eventually swallowing the Golden City and turning it into a dungeon. Okay, the Golden City, you say, and turning that into a dungeon from their digging. Okay, so the dwarves dug the dungeon? But then what does the mad magician have to do with it? Okay, we're keeping stuff in mind. Dwarves responsible for the dungeon. Because I think what they're implying from the Golden City is the Golden City would be the city that was made of gold, that all the gold got taken. So like level 2 of the dungeon, right? Unless there's another Golden City. I hear that surviving dwarves are responsible for the dungeon's ongoing expansion. But however we're thinking that's just a rumor, I think that it may not just be a rumor. There may be dwarves deep down in the dungeon continuing to dig. finding more and more stuff. I don't know. And then we must think about dwarven society and how Senshi must differ from that. Because if they're digging and digging, discovery over everything else, right? Looking for, mining for, extracting from, that's opposite of Senshi, right? At least it feels that way to me. I think we're building up to a point when we find some more dwarves and see how different Senshi really is. From his trek, it seems that Mr. Tansu has found a book by the lunatic magician himself, the man magician, and he wrote in Elvish here. It can't be certain that, he is an elf, but he is writing in Elvish, and this magic is beyond the capabilities of tall man or dwarf. Elves are good at magic, it just kind of makes sense. Now again, we have seen a flashback to the past where there was a certain character who seemed pretty mad and was an elf. Consider it, right? I'm talking about, I don't know if they had a name, the Hand of the King in that one skit. Just think about it. I don't know. Seemingly we're continuing this thing where we're going to call humans tall man. Hello, tall man. Even female humans, they're just going to be called tall man. I don't mind it. I think that's pretty cool. And now we have the Lord of the Manor, who is seemingly a human male, receiving a letter from the Western Elves. So there's elves more to the west, right? That says, return the dungeon to us. It is our heritage. So this speaks to the dwarves that dug under and then kind of sunk the city. So the dungeon is technically the elves' property. But again, in these flashbacks that I saw, they're the paintings, right? It seemed like humans were in control down there. Yeah, I'm very confused about some stuff. Maybe need some clarification, but again, that's neither here nor there. Oh, okay. What a nonsense kind of demand. They're the ones that took that land from the dwarves and handed it over to the humans because they didn't know what to do with it. So maybe, again, way in the past, that's why we see humans in those paintings. Interesting. No, okay. The land we're talking about isn't the island we're on right now. So you're not the king, you're just the lord of this island in particular. Okay, alright. So the king of the elves said, hey, humans, you can have this land. That land is also the dungeon now. I think that's the same land we're all disputing. And now that the elves have noticed, that there's something that they want in the dungeon, they're now rescinding the right to that land. And there's going to be another war over it, right? That's what I think we're implying. The land originally belonged to the dwarves. So, okay, there's going to be a three-way fight incoming between the humans who currently occupy the land and the elves that own some amount of kind of claim to it, and the dwarves that had the original claim to it are all going to come together and fight. And we're trying to delay that for as long as possible. The Lord is personally interested because his island is involved here, and it's all to do with the dungeon, and it's all to do with something specifically that's in the dungeon, which we'll talk about now. There must be a great treasure that's still hidden in the island. No, the elves aren't after the treasure, they're after the spell of immortality that is cast on the dungeon. So think about the thing that ties the soul to the body, that's still a big mystery, right? That you can't truly die in the dungeon, and you just kind of get rezzed and keep going. So, this sounds like immortality. This sounds like something that elves almost already possess. Obviously, they can be killed, but they have a very long life. Dwarves are also a long-lived race. If somebody understands and unties this mystery around the dungeon and this kind of immortality curse that's attached to it, maybe attached to the mad magician, humans can attain long life as well, and will gain a strategic competitive advantage over elves and dwarves in turn. So we want to get humans out of the dungeon, basically. They have the land that has the dungeon. Fuck that shit. We're taking them out. It's literally like the next level of immortality. Like, again, you can just continuously be rezzed. Continuously be rezzed. There's no super death to any of it, right? And again, speaks to the Senshi conversation from a couple of episodes ago about resurrection spells. It's not normal. It's not something that should happen. Don't think that this is something that is natural to the dungeon. It's a curse more than a blessing, is what Senshi is implying. So Tansu's advice here for the Lord is to continuously investigate the dungeon and look for the spell. Look for the spell of immortality and use that as a bargaining chip with the elves, who laying claim to this land at the moment. They want it back. They're ready to war to get it back, right? Up to and including the island, up to and including the village that houses the dungeon, all that kind of stuff, right? So hey, if you have this bargaining chip, they will kneel before you in negotiations. You will be top of the world. You will claim everything. You'll be the king of it all, king of the world, that kind of vibe. So this spell is likely in the possession of the Lord of the Dungeon, who I'm imagining is the Mad Magician as well. So we want to keep backing more and more explorers to keep digging and eventually find this guy. Again, we're implying heavily that that guy is an elf. I'm thinking it's the Hand of the King, whatever the hell, right? But now we need to keep kind of bankrolling teams to go down into the dungeon and do better and better. In the purpose of providing better support, let's not hoard the wealth and let's spread it out even more and give more incentive for really good adventurers to make their way into the dungeon. So hey, we're going to take out the orcs, that's all well and good, but how about the elves? What are we supposed to do? I'll help you buy time. So the elves want their land back, but we need a little bit of time there to find this magic thing and use it as a bargaining chip. And then Tansu thinks to himself about Laios, right? Now these freaks, they're all skilled adventurers. Maybe they can make it down, and maybe they can be the people that provide us with the spell, provide us with the bargaining chip that will help with everything. Again, I wouldn't be relying on this face, but again, they're the best we've got thus far. So that was a lot, and I guess you could be critical of how it's presented. It's presented a lot through text. It's presented a lot through dialogue. I would have liked a few more diagrams here and there to just help with stuff visually. There was a few there. It feels like one of them really, really wordy manga chapters that like half the page is just text. That kind of vibe to it. Not that, again, I dislike it, but probably could have been truncated or explained better in some portions. But I think I've got the gist of it now. It's a lot of information. You could probably call it an exposition dump if you're being a little bit uncharitable. I just wanted to chime in here in summary about what makes this scene okay, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. Because this is the kind of scene which I normally kind of dislike in a lot of shows, especially seasonal shows. They go way, way too hard on this kind of stuff, trying to over-explain and overexpose their plot before it occurs naturally, right? So again, it's all about balance, right? We have one scene of this. This goes on for, let's call it, 4 minutes, something like that, right? Bookending this, we have humorous antics with the original gang, right? And then on the other end, you have interesting tidbits about Namari, a way more human and personable conversation, of course, checking in with our idiots at the very end and doing all kinds of gags and stuff, right? Look at this. Look at this. It's balance, it's depth and emotion, it's a roller coaster. I'm feeling everything I'm supposed to feel in one episode. It does not feel one note, it doesn't feel pace destroying. These are all so, so, so important, and so many shows, especially adaptions, especially shonen adaptions, just cannot cope with this. Demon Slayer in particular had huge problems here. Jujutsu Kaisen almost has the opposite problem in season 2, where it just goes too far on the action sometimes. It's just, this is a show that knows what it's doing, and it just feels so nice in comparison to a lot of other things, right? Again, the comparison I made was Attack on Titan. An Attack on Titan episode feels like that conversation here on repeat for 25 minutes sometimes, which does not feel okay, especially when, in my opinion, the characters are as wooden as they are. You just I don't know, there's something really lovely about this, and it really gets across a large amount of story in a short amount of time, right? We learn we learn about an initial conflict between elves and dwarves. We learn about a contentious piece of land called the Golden Castle. We imply that both the dwarves and the Mad Magician are involved in the sinking of that castle into what became the dungeon. We imply that dwarves are digging further. We imply that the Mad Magician is an elf. We do a lot of things, right? Something immortality, bargaining chip with the elves. There's a lot of content in that conversation that is just gotten across in a great way. 4 minutes, efficient, not pace destroying. Very, very good. So shoutouts to Dungeon Meshi all over again. Just kind of in summary of that scene. But now we have Namari. She's woken up. I'd imagine this is Kiki waking her up, helping her feel better. The first thing that she looks for is her axe, which she still has, and she also gets the money from Tansu or Jisan. It's more than she expected, and it's a little bit of a windfall, I guess, to give her incentive to want to go again. Hey, Like, I've given you a little bit of extra here. And I also want to request your help again, because we're digging down deeper again, and we're going to try to find our way, find this spell of immortality. As a bit of a hand, we have Kanka and Kiki here kind of walking Namari back to her house. But she's not walking back to her house, she has something to check on first. So she's making her way to the dungeon to run an errand at a nearby temple. So this is really fun. It speaks more to a mechanic of the land. There's kind of this temple, there's kind of this house that's nearby, right? Kind of go down into the dungeon and talk to this bloke, and he's got a kind of a ledger of everybody that's been in the dungeon, right? And because of the magic of the dungeon, because of the immortality and the resurrection that's kind of laid upon the dungeon, you can just kind of go, yeah, I want this person actually, and they'll use magic to get them back. Obviously at a price, because why else would you do it? And apparently you can get back both items and people. So if you've lost something really specific, you can go back here and get it. Again, very video gamey. But the person that she's looking for, and looking for somebody on the ledger, I guess, is a female tall man with light brown hair. And apparently she's somewhere between her teens and her 40s. I think Namari is a dwarf, correct me if I'm wrong. A long-lived race obviously has trouble differentiating between human ages because she's not familiar with it. This guy was already kind of aware of Namari and that she at one point was in Laios's party, and kind of gets onto that she's talking about Laios's sister Fallen. She's in her 20s at most. Again, Namari just has no clue. But yeah, it's interesting she's checking, because she's checking for two reasons. One, I think, again, she originally quit the party because she thought Farlan was just dead with no hope. So, bye, see ya. But the other part was, upon meeting Laios again and that whole crew, wanted to check if they were onto something, actually, and what Farlan would have to do with it. So, just checking if she's alive. Apparently she still is, which is good for us audience as well. We know that she's still in there. Yeah, there's nobody that fits that description. She's still alive. It's interesting, put in tandem with the scene with Marcel here, who's like crying, thinking, oh, maybe Farlan's already dead, that kind of thing. It puts the audience at ease and makes Marcel seem kind of overly emotional here. So outside of the Golden Castle lies the castle town where we are right now. So, Golden Castle, what did we talk about back here with the elves? Golden City or something? Yeah, the dwarves are responsible for the dungeon, for sure, because this is the Golden City, turning it into a dungeon. So they were digging under it and caused it to fucking... That's kind of crazy, huh? Okay, shit. Alright, I'm putting some stuff together. The vibe we're giving off is that it's kind of spooky. You hear whispers of people that once lived here, whether orcs or humans, and such peculiar sensations wash over you. Bit creepy. So they happen upon the orcs' pantry, they see some flour and stuff, but mostly everything's been ravaged. It implies that there were monsters down here, kind of got into the food and started eating all of it. Maybe even the wargs that are outside right now burnt to a crisp. So put it this way, we see the wargs here. They look pretty brutal. I wouldn't want to fight that guy. We've seen the orcs before. They're pretty brutal. I wouldn't want to fight that guy. The dragon was enough to kill the wargs and frighten the orcs out of their own home. It's power scaling. It's food chain stuff. It's everything. The dragons are fucking bad news. Real bad news. I guess upon seeing this as well, this is when Marcel starts to get a little bit concerned. Like, oh, I've literally seen a creature burn to death. Like, that's scary. I don't want that to happen to me. It's a shit just got real type moment for Marcel. Like, based on what we've been told about the dragon, we thought it was going to be sleeping, but actually now it's roaming, right? Because we thought it would have been... Because based on what we know about dragons... Farlan would have existed inside its digestive tract, and the dragon would have just like slept it off and digested during that time, right? And we would have happened upon the dragon and kind of slayed it in its sleep. But now that it's awake and patrolling, and I've seen this visual sign of its power, I'm fucking terrified, which is fair enough. And Laios is a deft hand emotionally here. He's just like, okay, let's calm down, let's figure out a plan first. That's the first thing we can do. Probably secretly a little bit scared himself. Nice bit of comedy, bit of levity here to balance the moment. We have Chilchuck implying that he won't help at all. Must be tough to take out the dragon with just 3 of you. That's not the plan, bud. You're going to help out as well. I think his role is going to be... like bait. I think Chilchuck's going to be bait and dodging and that kind of thing. We've seen him do that kind of thing with the fight with the Mimic before. Senshi asks Laios, have you defeated a dragon before? If so, how did you do it? This implies that this party was together for quite a long time, which I like as well. We have Farlan casting spells, right? We have Namari, Shuro, and Laios are the ones to work to slow it down. Marcel weakens the dragon with explosive spells, and then Shuro strikes the killing blow when the opportunity arises. Shuro seems cool. I hope to see this guy at some point. He seems kind of fucking based. We don't have half those dudes anymore, so we can't do that planned Laios. We need another different plan. Dragons are generally resistant to weapons based on their kind of scales and that kind of thing, but they do have one weak point in kind of the underside of the neck there, under the head. So we have to stab it there, right? But then we're considering how large the red dragon is. We get this as a nice size indicator, and then we compare it to the one which we were just looking at in the past. It's a different kettle of fish when the dragon is easily 5 times as big as this guy. Like, come on. How are we supposed to do that? And again, this part of the walkway is only broken because that's how tall the dragon is, which means he literally made his way through here not long ago. So shoutouts to the general world design here. I really like all of the balconies and walkways. I think, well, that was another fantastic shot too, because we start with our characters down here, we pan that way, and then in kind of one shot the characters teleport. That's pretty clever as well. It feels like a really fun place to be. It feels like really dynamic and combative castle area that we can. I don't know if I'm saying the right words here. It seems like it would be fun to play in a video game. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting. It's very. Imagine playing laser tag here. That kind of vibe. Like, it's really cool. It's also clearly, do I have that key visual? Put it up on screen somewhere. It's clearly where this key visual is taking place as well, now in retrospect. Laios' plan here is to use this exact balcony as a spot to get close enough to its head to stab the neck, but we don't have the defensive spells nor the protection from fire to help us in this situation. We'll basically just get cooked if we're in that same spot. And even then, right, according to Namari, who's a weapons expert, which we've established, Laios' sword won't even be able to pierce its skin, even maybe the underside of the neck. We need something that's actually going to hurt it, right? And then I think from here we come up with a better plan, right? So we're going to blow up a building or a kind of walkway as a dragon is passing underneath it. We'll drop a building on them. That'll slow the dragon down enough for Marcel to do her spell. Maybe she's the one that even blows up the building, right? And then we'll have kind of Senshi with his pot that's able to use that as the weapon and kind of crush the neck from that perspective. Slow it down to a halt, stop it in its tracks, and then hit the weak spot. Now, I'm sure not everything's going to go to plan, because this is a 2-episode piece. Like, something's gonna go amiss, I'm sure of it. But as it stands right now, it's a pretty good little plan here from our protagonist Laios. It's also pretty clear that the dragon doesn't like the narrow streets of the castle here, something that we'll talk about again later as well, but using ourselves as bait, kind of letting it chase us around these corridors and then crushing it will weaken it enough and slow it down enough that this plan should work. If we all do the right things, right? This is full circle on Chilchuck from before, where he's like, I'm not going to help in combat. He volunteers himself to be bait to kind of lead the dragon around, resulting in a little bit of affection from Marcel here, which is great. Yeah, very well animated, lots of character, all that trigger charm, as I've talked about before. However, I think Laios should continue thinking about this. Why isn't it sleeping? Its appearance on the 5th floor is a mystery too. It persistently prowling these areas that it dislikes. It's almost like something has changed with this dragon since Farlan has been eaten, which is something I want to watch. For sure, for sure. We kind of jump out of that train of thought into Senshi's pot, which I've mentioned before, made out of that material, the best smithing material, adamant, I believe it was called, which we'll use for our final blow. Again, there's a little bit of irony of using the pot as a weapon to kill the dragon. Again, it's symbolic of us having food, having a full stomach being the main differentiating factor between us last time and us this time. It also protects from the fire, which we're going to use as well. Again, just a great flip of the premise of dungeon food as a concept. Also, your cooking knife, it's made from the same special metal. So maybe that cooking knife is going to be the one that lands that final strike. We also see this is clearly a secret that Senshi was hiding, where he's like, I don't want to fucking use that for any of that shit, right? You should have let Namari have a look. I don't want her to have a look at shit. It's a very devilish little Senshi here. I actually like it as a frame. And then, yeah, from there we're feeling inspired. The music's really swelling as well. Yeah, we're going to go map out the place, Again, winged lions all the time. And yeah, whilst we're doing our mapping, we have somebody at home cooking for us, which is nice. But yeah, it seems like we're fairly successful of mapping things out and finding the best spot to take out the dragon. And this is a really important distinction, right? They start off by scolding Senshi somewhat. He kind of just slipped off and started making food. Like, we need all the help we can get tactically, right? But no, the main differentiating factor, both practically and symbolically, is dungeon food this time. That's the thing that's powering us, right? We need to eat on a full stomach, otherwise, we won't be able to do anything. Again, we mentioned it explicitly during the first episode how we were kind of tired and lacking energy, and that's one of the main reasons we lost to the red dragon in the first place. So, how do we remedy that? Food. A little bit of food. Also, poor Chilchuck. He just wanted a glass of wine and then gets kind of taken out. I wonder if that's a character trait for Chilchuck, that he's a bit of an alcoholic. I don't know, maybe. But yeah, from there, it's interesting, right? We're still going to eat the bread, but we're going to grate some of it into breadcrumbs. Punko, right? We're going to make a breaded frog cutlet type thing, which again, to my knowledge, just sounds beautiful. Sounds like a great thing that you should make with the meat that we've taken. And I'm not any less hungry than I was before during the reaction, so I am very hungry. We're boiling down the red wine we just found to make a sauce as well. I don't know about kind of frying something with a bit of red wine sauce, but again, that looks very appetizing. I'm sure that would be quite nice. Cutlets to conquer the red dragon is what we're calling it as well. Is there like chips or wedges here? You'd have to imagine that's made with the same potatoey like substance that we got from the frog. That's another nice touch too. Anyway, we start eating the cutlet. It's enough to make Marcel start to fucking cry, so it must be pretty good. But again, we subvert that. The tears of not having to eat monsters again is making me emotional. You say you hate it, but you actually love it. You secretly love it. I'm sure of it. And I really like this kind of from both perspectives. I like it as a joke, but I also like it as an emotional beat for Laios. Really turning his head and thanking everybody. Remember, his sister's on the line here. It's pretty important that he goes and saves her, right? And it's only done with the help of people that have given up a lot to be here. Very much so Senshi, specifically, right? He wasn't here before. Like, yeah, they were complete strangers. Your excellent cooking helped us, lifted our spirits. And again, like, we're thanking everybody. Chilchuck, thanks for navigating. Thanks Marcel for joining me. I was moved from your actions. But then again, the joke being that he said all this emotional shit when they were halfway through a bite of food. Oh no. Couldn't you have waited for a better time? Because now the timing's all off for us to agree to that. I also really like Chilchuck here says poor timing, and then at that exact same moment the dragon shows up. In itself is also a poor timing, which is a great little link in the scene. But yeah, it feels like the end of an episode because it is. But I like how we play off that in the kind of like, that was a bad moment to start doing. We're like eating. We're halfway through eating. Don't do an emotional speech, please. And now, hey, the dragon's here. Again, that's what the poor timing was. It kind of interrupted their little meal there. A lot of the shots here are demonstrating size and effect. Cracking of the window here, cracking of the settlement that was once here. This must be very similar to the disaster that kind of impacted this castle and its town before, at least symbolically. Again, dragons through fiction have been symbols of calamities more than anything else, more than actual creatures, right? Slaying a dragon can be metaphorically overcoming an insurmountable task. So a dragon coming back through here means that an insurmountable task once faced the people that lived here. That's the vibe I'm getting anyway. I'm also thinking outside of the show's sphere of influence, thinking about Trigger and thinking about their kind of roots in some kaiju stuff, especially with Gridman and that kind of thing. I'm thinking a lot of these shots remind me of Godzilla, especially. I'm interested to see this kind of vibe continued into the next episode when we supposedly will fight the dragon. From here, we're getting motivated, we're getting inspired, we're ready to fight the dragon. Everyone's getting buffed up, everyone in good shape, we've got a full stomach, and we're ready to go. Yeah, that's the end of the episode there, which really makes me want to watch more, but I can't. I don't have the time for 3 episodes, which again, unfortunate. But I found a fuck ton to talk about in this episode, obviously. I thought it was very good again. So shoutouts to the show continuing to be very good. Thank you. Thank you for being good, show. I will be back next week with 2 more. Supposedly we were going to fight the dragon. I hope we talk to Farlan at some point as well. I'd like to see a reunited scene there. There's a word for that. Reunion? That's it. Reunion scene between the two. That'd be wonderful. And yeah, please comment below any clarifications on something I may have missed with this pretty lore-heavy episode. So Again, I think I got most of it. Again, the general gist being that there was a golden castle. The elves took that land from the dwarves initially, right? Then the elves didn't know what to do with the land and just kind of gave it to the humans. And then that city prospered, and then the lunatic magician happened and all that kind of stuff, right? And at that same point, we're digging under the city, and then it turns into a dungeon, and then it's actually really prosperous and has the secret to immortality in it. And now the elves want it back. The dwarves want their original claim to the land back, and the humans haven't initially, building up to a conflict at some point over the land of the dungeon. So yeah, and there's implied that dwarves are still in there digging, and that's how the orcs got in there as well, because they kind of got pushed to the side in this whole conflict as well. Yeah, which kind of says that episode 4 is got way more lore implications than we're thinking at the moment, especially between kind of elves and dwarves and their kind of dual taking out of the orcs and sending them below. Interesting. But yeah, please clarify any of that stuff if I'm missing stuff, because that seems important for future. So if I'm missing stuff, I'm missing stuff. But yeah, I'm going to stop talking. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, Discord, like the video, Patreon if you want to watch the next one right now, because I'll have 11 and 12 up there ready to go. So if you're really into the dragons, then check that out. But other than that, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys later. Ciao.